Hey everybody, I'm back again with another video. This time I'm doing the Lectric 250 mile update trail ride, and I might even a little bit later in this video do 29 miles per hour. You know, the reason why I'm making this video about electric bikes is I know that they are a big expense, and it gives you a little apprehension when you're about to purchase something this expensive. So I wanted to go through this video and just show how the bike handles multiple terrains, and also just overall how the bike has performed in these first 250 miles that I've had it. Now, the other thing I wanted to show is that even though the bike might not meet all of your needs out of the box, you can change a lot of things in order to make it more your own. I mean, I've changed the handlebars, the grips, put mirrors, changed the pedals, painted the bike, put a box on the back, and put a whole new light system on there. Now, not everybody's going to want to change all of these things. Some people are going to leave it bone stock and be perfectly happy with this bike. I've also included some of my suggestions of things that you really need to do when you first get the bike. And I want to show you this really cool ride in Sacramento, California on the American River Trail. It's pretty awesome, and it shows the capabilities of the bike, how it handles the different terrains, and also shows how it handles rough terrain, because this place has plenty of that. Anyway, let's get started with another video. Let's go.
Alright, so I generally ride around in one or two, unless there's some big hills, and I preemptively change it to 3 or 4, and then downshift. It does need a little bit of help going up super steep hills. I am a bigger guy. I'm like 230, 240 pounds, and so the motor has no problem with somebody $150, maybe even like $180, probably wouldn't have as much of a difficult time on the big hills. Not saying it can't do big hills, it can, but it will slow down a lot more with somebody who's heavier. So if you're a bigger person like myself, you will have to pedal a little harder. I have it in 5 right now, and I'm doing about 7 miles an hour. I'm not pedaling super hard. I am pedaling a little bit though, using a little bit of muscle. Now if I knock it in 2, kicks it up. Coming up to a stop sign. You can hear the brakes a little bit. My wife's bike squeaks a little bit more than mine, and in all actuality, I had to change the rotor on it because the rotor was a little bent, probably from the factory, just a little bit, and it was rubbing on the brakes because the brakes got out of alignment. And in order to get it to stop squeaking as much, I literally had to replace the rotor and adjust the brakes. So the brakes are a good and a bad thing. I would say that that's one of my favorite things about the bike now is having the mirrors. So I would highly suggest, if you're going to be riding the bike around, let's just say higher traffic areas, it's really helpful to be able to see behind you without having to turn all the way around, especially in the like more country roads that have no sidewalks and no bike lanes. So after getting the bike, I slimed the wheels because I had a flat, and I started to research that even though these tires are supposed to have flat protection or puncture protection, they really don't have that great of puncture protection. I got a thorn, I got a small nail, and it went right through the tire. And so I would highly suggest that you get some slime day one, slime the tires up, or have a bike shop do it, and that's going to save you some headaches. I have, now that I've had the bike for a while. I have had some experience with taking the rear wheel off, and the rear wheel is a bugger to get back on. It's not the taking off that's the hard part, it's the getting it back on, because of the fact that the frame is so thick in the rear and has almost like a bow to it that bows it towards the center, or bows it and pinches the hub. It kind of makes it difficult to replace the tire, and or, you know, if you wanted to replace the rotor in my case. So I had to have somebody help me, and we had to pull the rear frame apart really hard, and I used the kickstand as leverage, and it worked, but it did kind of bend the kickstand out a little bit to receive the tire. So not the easiest bike to work on, especially in the rear section of the bike. I did, when I first got the bike, have to adjust the derailleur, and I did have to tighten most of the brake bolts. And in all actuality, on this bike, I did have an issue with the front brakes. They have still a slightly stripped bolt in one of the braces that holds the brake on. And as long as I periodically tighten that section, it kind of works, and it doesn't make as much noise. But every once in a while, if it starts to make noise, I have to go back down and retighten it. I probably could use some Loctite. I probably should use some Loctite in the future. All right, American River Trail. I'm at 250 miles, ladies and gentlemen. 250 miles on this bike. I mean, even in 2, it's got some get up and go. And the only times I have to change the gears is if I hit a really big hill, then I'll have to downshift. But otherwise, I just leave it in 5. That gives me a decent pull. Like right now, I'm pedaling. It's not a whole lot of resistance. Going 13 miles an hour in 2, and it's really easy riding. If I wanted to give myself more, resistance, I can go up to 7. Let's see here. Click it up, and now I'm totally like pedaling. I feel resistance. I'm not pedaling like super hard, but I am still kicking at around 13 miles an hour. I replaced the bell from the stock bell with a little bit better bell. I have it so the lever's right there. It works really well. Morning. I am really happy with how the cockpit has come out. It's basically what I wanted. I have nice wide angle here, and it's easy to read the display. The light is in a much better position. So here's kind of my setup here for my bike riding adventures. I have a backpack. I have some tools in case I need to work on the drone or the bike. Little energy things in case I run out of energy, water, and drone, and various other things. So that's what I carry with me on my bike riding adventures. As far as the bike is concerned, I'm really happy with it now that I've done all the modifications. I've kind of resolved most of the shortcomings of the original design. I put new pedals because my feet were constantly slipping off the pedals, and you know, you're only saving maybe 2-3 inches. That might be 4 inches total, but for me it was worth it. I slimed the tires really good. You want to do that. You need to watch the brakes because they do get out of adjustment a lot. I added this light on the front, which turned out being awesome. It really lights up. I don't do a lot of night riding, but if I do, this is going to really help. Let's see here. So other than the light and the handlebars are the biggest changes to the bike. I did get some more rubberized grips, so if you look here, it's really rubbery and a little bit better on my hands. The mirrors are awesome. Highly suggest getting a nice pair of mirrors. These ones are metal and not too expensive. The plexi or the Plasti Dip is holding up. It has a few scratches here and there, but for the most part I did it mostly just for color. It still has the paint underneath. The seat, I would highly recommend that you get a new seat if you're going to go on long rides. If you're going on short rides, it works just fine. I added this ammo can on the back, and it helps me carry more things. I put a lock on it. Got some more materials in here, more tools, so that I can make sure I don't break down somewhere. Okay. The motor's held up really well. For a guy my size, works pretty well. Bell's much louder, much easier to press, especially in emergency situations. As far as the overall build, I would say shocks would be the best addition to this thing. If they could have integrated some kind of suspension back here, I'm gonna probably get a suspension post and a more comfortable seat, but that would have been nice, and maybe some shocks in the front would have been nice. I've stated that before though. But overall, bike works pretty good. The motor's been still holding up after 250 miles. I got a good feel for how much power it has and how to ride it. When you first start riding this thing, it feels like it's really fast, but you get used to it. But I would suggest always wearing a helmet when you're riding an electric bike, especially, well, any bike. I guess the only thing I would say is that if you're not really looking for a folding bike, you can probably get away with a mountain bike, although they're about as heavy. You just need some special racks in order to carry a heavier bike. But I would have liked a mountain bike also. But this thing kind of is a jack of all trades. Allows you to carry it in a back of a car. Okay, so one of my least favorite things about the bike is the key position. Getting way down here, you usually have to stick your finger in there, find the hole, twist your key around, and after a little bit of frustration, it will find it, and then you can turn the key on. So if I had to change one thing about the bike design, put the key like up here, pow, hello, easy, up here, maybe put a flap over it for water protection, or you know, I mean, I understand not putting it, you know, there because, you know, you don't want to kick it, but here, up on the handlebars, you know, back here, hello, right there would be a good spot too. Any place where where's that. Anyway, let's finish this ride. So I'm using the throttle right now just to get started. And as you can see, that's pretty zippy. It's almost like a moped. The trail here, it does pretty well. You know, you have to ride it pretty early in the morning out here because it gets up to 100 degrees in the afternoon. But the bike has definitely been a lot of fun. I would recommend it to anybody looking for a cheaper mountain bike. If price isn't an issue, there are tons of other mountain bike or other electric bikes on the on offering. Some of them are only a couple, $200, $300, $400 more. You get things like hydraulic brakes. You get things like suspension. So if those things are important to you, a little bit stronger brakes, a little bit softer ride. I think Fat Bear is one of them, and then I think another one is Walkie. Walkie makes a full-size folding bike, so it's a larger bike than this one, but it has all of the features of this one, but has hydraulic brakes and the suspension in the front and back, so it's a full suspension bike. Now that one runs about $1,800, $1,900, so you're talking double. So like I said, if price isn't an issue, then that might be something good for some people. But if price is an issue, this thing, it is a good offering, and you just want to have something that is ready to go, cheap. You are going to have to adjust it. There's no getting around that. That was a huge hill. I knocked it to 5 and downshifted it to 3, and that got me up it without too much strain. Didn't have to stand up or anything. And then now that I'm back up, I like 5. 5 is like a little bit of resistance, but not much. So once you get about 15 miles an hour, now you're just like spinning your wheels, and you can just let it coast for a little bit. If I wanted to truck it, I'd throw it in 6 or 7, and it would really get going. But overall, you know, I got this for under $1,000. I'm biking way more, and I enjoy biking way more. That's the thing about electric bikes. You want to get out there and enjoy, you know, nature and getting out there without totally being exhausted when you get home. You know, because part of the fun of an electric bike is being able to do this journey and be able to get back home without, you know, collapsing from doing all these hills and everything that that comes up. So, I mean, you know, if you're an older person, maybe you're a little out of shape or something, you know, you can turn down the levels of assist when you get a little stronger, and you could be riding in like 1 or 0. You can ride in 0. It does ride. It's just, you know, it's a lot heavier than just a bike on its own. So like 8 miles an hour is the standard. Then if you knock it in 2, now I'm hitting a hill. So 11 is usually where it's at, but because there's a hill, I'll have it probably more at like around 10. But I'm going uphill. I'm just pedaling like a normal, and the motor is assisting me. Okay, so just changed the grade a little bit more uphill, but still right around that 10 miles an hour, which I feel is pretty nice, considering I'd probably be doing 2 or 3 miles an hour right now under regular power. Okay, starting to flatten out. Knock it in 3. There we go. Doing like 15. My legs basically have almost no resistance. Okay, a little bit of resistance, but not bad. Right up the hill. Yeah, see that bump right there? That's where I would want a suspension seat or a more comfortable seat. Okay. And see, you can just hit your throttle, get you up to speed real quick, and you're crossing the street. Or if you're going downhill. Doing throttle only. And I am still doing throttle only. 16 miles an hour in 3rd, which that's about, well, actually with the throttle you don't have a limit. So it's doing about 15 miles an hour. I'm going up this grade. There's a car behind me. I'm just gonna like lean over here. Okay, I went and hit that gravel, didn't slide out from underneath me or anything, just went right through it like butter. Another car behind me. See, these mirrors are a big help, because I can see when people are coming up on me. I can kind of move over. So these mirrors are awesome. So my my favorite thing on the bike now. The first mirrors I got sucked. Do not go super cheap on mirrors. I think I went $10 for the mirrors and they broke. They were plastic. The actual optics on them kind of sucked. Full and complete stop. I learned that the hard way. Last time I posted a video, I was being waved through by the cars, so I didn't stop, and everybody made comments about how I don't follow the street signs and everything. And it was just that people were waving me through. I made eye contact. I was, but I know better now. I will not, even if they wave me through, I'm going to wave them right through back. Or I'm going to edit out that infraction, because that was a little crazy. Everybody got on my ass about that. All right, let's kick this thing up a little bit. Oh, look, a stop sign. Even though I don't have to, because there's not a car in sight, I'm gonna stop. Yeah, I'll throttle just to get started. And now I'm gonna freaking put it in 7. Full and complete stop. So I hit 29 miles an hour. That's pretty good.
So anyway, guys, hopefully you found this informational and it helps you in the buying process of the purchase of an electric bike. I am going to leave links in the description for the products that I use to customize my bike, and you guys can click on that. I get a small kickback from Amazon when you guys click on it, but I'm not directly paid by any of the products that I used. Anyway, that's my video. Thanks for watching. If you really liked it, please click like. If you really liked it, please subscribe. Click that bell if you want to see more from me. And drop me a comment. I do read them. That's my video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get the tech out of here. Later.